Welcome to another edition of Play It Through, and this time around it's Micro Machines, brought to us by Comerica and Codemasters, who also did Big Nose the Caveman, Linus Spacehead, and the Dizzy series. Now this is of course a racing game based off of the original scale miniatures Micro Machines, as I read the logo at the top of the screen. And it's going to scroll through all the different types of vehicles that you can use throughout this game. You have boats, helicopters, tanks, a monster truck, as well as many types of individual cars. And what the game consists of is 25 races, including a few bonus races that consist of you driving a monster truck over one lap over a course. If you complete the course within the time, you get an extra life. All the other ones are it's you versus 3 other computer opponents, or you can do head-to-head racing in this game, a 2-player mode. But in terms of the single player, you have 25 races, all against the computer, competing against 3 computers in a race. Now, here's the character select screen. You pick your character. I'm going to scan through them all. I'm going to use the Fonz-looking cool guy, Spider. He's actually in pretty much all the Micro Machines games that they've done, so I always end up choosing him. You have your first race is this powerboat qualifying race. Officially, this is like an extra bonus, like the 26th race. You know, this is an extra race. This isn't one of the like 25 main ones. And you just gotta do one lap in which you come in first place, or you may be able to come in second on this one. I'm not sure, but it's really quick, as you can just see. I was able to complete it like in a snap. The controls are a little different. You have to get used to the controls in terms of being able to handle the different vehicles. Some vehicles handle differently than others, which is a cool element to it, but you have to know how each one handles. All the levels of the game, as I'm going to pick you get to pick your opponents, which is cool. But you after a certain person in the computers loses after a few races, they're eliminated, and you get to pick another opponent to add. By the end, you're down to just you and the 3 computer opponents that are left. All the other computers will be eliminated by the end of the races. Now, as you're going to see, what these races consist of are in each vehicle, you have 3 races per vehicle. And each vehicle has a certain themed level. As you can see, on this one, we're on a breakfast table. We also have a pool table, a series of desks that we have to deal with. Basically just a floor that consists of a checkerboard and some army men pieces for the tanks. You know, you have all of them are interesting levels. The helicopters race in a garden, for example. And overall, the game starts off pretty easy in terms of being able to control the vehicles and the courses that you have them on. You know, just basic hazards and stuff like that, as I complete race number 1 of 25. And some of the races have longer tracks. Some have shorter ones based on the vehicle. For example, the second race that we're about to do is the first of the series of desk themed levels with like school equipment, like notebooks and pencils and erasers, as you're going to see. These are the hardest levels of all of them. Now this one in particular isn't that difficult, but you can see there's a gap that you can immediately fall off the edge. If you fall off the edge, of course, you respawn, but it takes so much time that the computer opponents in the later races will just mop you. The good thing about the game is, other than the very final race, the 25th and final race, other than that one, you can finish second in any of the races and still continue on to the next race. So you're going to see throughout this run, I'm not perfect at this game by any means. I'm pretty good. Through practicing, I've gotten pretty good. But I'm still not perfect. I'm still going to screw up. I'm still going to hit walls. The computer more than likely is going to still beat me on a lot of races, but I will be able to come in second on all of them at least. That I've been able to do. But on certain courses, the computer will just get ahead of me, and I'll never see them again. Like, they'll go ahead, and even if I don't hit another single hazard along the way, I'll never catch up to that first computer. For a while, I thought the first place computer would just, like, disappearing no matter what. You couldn't catch up with them. But I have found through other practices that they eventually, if they do screw up, like they somehow fall off the table, you can catch up. But it's very, very hard to catch up to them. For the most part, all the courses based on the different vehicles, once you've done the first one, you have a general idea how the other ones are going to be. For the most part, they're not too different amongst the other races. So once you do one of them per vehicle, you know how the vehicle handles and you know about how the course is going to be. Now this is a Warriors race. The vehicle is called Warriors. It has the spikes on the edge because if you directly hit the spikes on your opponent, you end up exploding. There is some weird glitchiness about the explosions. I got it a few times during practice on one of my practice runs. We'll see if it happens on any of the ones in here during the course of this. They exploded, the computers ran into each other, and they just exploded into a cloud of dust and didn't reappear. Like, if I blow up, I'll reappear and I can continue on the race, kind of like falling off the edge, except it takes a lot less time. But for whatever reason, they glitched and they wouldn't reappear. So it was just me and whoever was in front, whoever was in front of me. I came in second, but there was no matter how long I took, I was going to come in second because the other two computer opponents had blew up and never could respawn for some reason. That doesn't happen all the time, that glitch doesn't happen, but this race in particular with this, as well as the tanks, which you actually can fire a gunshot with the tanks to take out your opponents. With the tanks in particular, the explosions that happen a lot can cause some weird glitches, but at least the explosions don't take you out of the race for too long, unless somehow you can glitch like they do and disappear forever. There's the completion of Warriors. Race 1, I come in first, Cherry, then Emilio, and then Walter comes in last. And with that, Walter, the very, very fat tub of lard, has been eliminated. And now we will move on. And I'm going to pick Chen to fill in his spot, Walter's spot, as I get my first bonus level. This is the monster truck bonus level that takes place outside with a lot of puddles and stuff like that. The control, I have a hard time sometimes driving this monster truck. The first couple of times, you end up doing I think 5 times during the course of the game. The first 3 courses are different, and then the final ones you do are the same, or that third course over and over again. Like, you end up doing that third course of the 3 like 3 times at least. You may end up doing it more. It may end up being 6 total. It may be 6. I don't even really know how many times I did it, because it's basically the same thing over and over again. Sometimes it all depends on what I run into. If I don't really run into a whole lot, I can complete it well under the time and get the extra life. Like I was able to here, I had 8 seconds left. Sometimes I'll end up falling in the water 3 times and I end up not getting the extra life. The extra lives are only useful if you haven't played the game before and you keep coming in 3rd or 4th. Which the one thing I don't like about the game, one thing that gets on my nerves is, it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing, but I just don't particularly like it. If you come in last place, you lose a life, and you have to repeat that race you just lost. But as you're seeing, as I beat the computer keeps coming in 3rd and 4th place. They don't have to repeat the race, they just move on to the next race, and when they run out of lives, then they're eliminated from the game, and I choose another computer opponent. So it would have been interesting to see if you lost, you could still continue as long as you if you still have more lives. You know, I think about it as like a sports race, like a NASCAR race or something. Just because someone finished in last or was eliminated, they're back the next week. They just don't get any points for the week before. You know, thinking about it like that. But it doesn't really matter. This is one of those things just to make sure that you can complete every course. There's a few courses in this game, particularly the ones on the pool table, but mainly there's ones on the desk, the whole schoolwork ones, that are absolutely annoying. And the final couple times you do it, and it just completely beyond me just how much of a pain in the butt it is. And that final race, like, I don't think the final race changes depending upon certain things, but all I know is that final race is another one of those school-themed levels. And after you're gonna see how bad I am on them, the harder ones anyway. The final race is the final one of those sports car school-themed levels, and it just drives me insane. Oh my god! I just took a breath. As we are now on the breakfast table one. If you're wondering, yes, this is the second breakfast table race. They don't really happen in any certain order. It's not like you do the first race of all the vehicles and then go on. This is the second of the breakfast one, so I only have one more of these I'm going to do throughout the course of the game. But it just random order. Like, the helicopters don't even come in for a little